Hey. How are you doing today? And welcome to another Friday with Michelle Green under KBCR TV show and podcast. Credit and financial tips is what we do here at the KBCR TV show and podcast. That's right. Welcome. We are so glad that you have joined us today. We are so excited to talk about our topic today. It's going to be about lending to family members and friends and how to protect your money and your relationships, honey. That's right. We are going to be discussing things that are around us lending money to family members and friends. And oh my goodness, do we all have this issue? Oh my goodness, every single person from every part of the earth, no matter where you are or what you are into, whatever job that you're doing, whatever job you may not be doing, we have all encountered some type of situation where someone has asked us to borrow money, or we ourselves have asked a family member or friend to borrow money. Am I right? But before we get into today's topic, we are going to talk about what credit is, because we are Kingdom Builders Credit Repair. And at Kingdom Builders Credit Repair, we specialize in credit and finances. I myself have been a financial advisor since the age of 19. That's over 30 plus years ago. And I have been also doing credit the same amount of time, because around that time, I actually had a situation where I was ready to buy a home for my two daughters at the time, and we were ready to expand our space. So I learned how to repair my own credit, got the credit fixed, and in 3 months was able to purchase my first home. That's right. Just 3 months, 3 months. That's it. So that's what we do here, is help you with understanding your finances, understanding your credit. So today we are going to talk about this money lending process, okay? From the perspective of a family member or a friend, and vice versa. But I do want us to understand always, what is credit? So when we think about what credit is, we want to talk about the fact that credit is when we don't have enough money to actually buy something that we need or something that we want. Then what happens is that we will go to a lender, which is a bank or a credit union of some kind, a financial institution, a company that is acting as a place where we can borrow an endless amount of money. Okay. And we go to that lender or creditor or bank or credit union, and we ask them by filling out an application to lend us the money so that we can purchase whatever it is that we need or whatever it is that we desire. And when we think about credit in this aspect, we have to have the right mindset going into credit to understand that we don't just want to gain a whole bunch of credit. We want to be responsible and be able to keep our word, which is really translated into our contract agreement with that lender or creditor, so that in the future, once we obtain one line of credit, then we obtain another line of credit, then we obtain another line of credit, and it just continues to go on all throughout our life. So, what is credit? Credit is the ability for you to be able to finance whatever you need: a vehicle, a house, a credit card to purchase clothes or shoes, a credit card to manage your household utilities, or a personal loan, furniture, appliances, electronics, whatever it is that you want or you need. That is the ability for you to be able to borrow what money you don't have today, but that you'll pay back at a later time. So you can put it on credit. That's what credit is. And we want you to always remember what credit is That's why we talk about it when we first start the show. All right. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below so that we can answer those questions or comments. And if you're already in the Kingdom Builders Credit Repair Program, listen, you have the ability to ask questions at any time. Just send us a text or give us a call, email us, or go to your client portal. That's right. All of our clients have a client portal that they can communicate with us in every single day if they chose. All right. So now that we got the credit idea out of the way and we begin to understand what credit is and how we go about credit, now we want to talk about how this lending to a family member or friend affects our credit. Now, how many of us out there have a family member or friend that constantly comes to us about borrowing money? How many of us out there have a family member or a friend that we are no longer in relationship with that borrowed money from us or that we borrowed money from? First of all, I want to say that we should never ever be ruining any relationship around money. I know that many of you don't agree with me on that, but we are supposed to have grace, just like grace is given to us. That is the ability for us to forgive the person, whoever we may have lent the money to, or that we uh and vice versa, that we were lent the money to from, then we want to make sure that we have forgiveness around how the scenario played out. Because when we borrow money, or when people borrow money from us, or when we need to borrow money from someone, it doesn't matter the scenario or who it is. The fact of the matter is, there are some principles that you need to stay within the range of before you even make the exchange. Before you decide to lend money or receive money from someone, you need to have a clear understanding around how this whole process should be working so that you don't ruin the relationships, y'all. We cannot afford to continue to ruin relationships around money. It's just an exchange. It is not the top tier of all. It is not the highest thing. It's not something that we should be going crazy over, but it is something that we should understand that is a tool in order for us to be able to do what we need to do, as well as other people to be able to do what they need to do. So let's talk about this lending to a family member or friend. Now, I know that many of us have a bad taste in our mouth, and we have either been on one end or the other of giving or receiving that money. But I want us to think about, before we decide to engage in another lending or receiving process, we want to think about a written contract. That's right. I don't care if it's $20. I don't care if it's $500. I don't care if it's $10,000. What I want us to think about is, just like a lender or creditor has a contract agreement for you to pay the bank back, the credit union back, or any other financial institution that is going to allow you to borrow the money, right? When you are borrowing money, when you are lending someone money, then what you want to do is first consider getting a contract in place. It could be a email, because an email is a written, documented contract. Okay, technically it could be a email, it could be anything that is written that is considered to be something that you could literally take in a court of law. Now, I'm not telling you to take your family members or friends to the courts to get your money back or vice versa. But what I am saying is this: you need to understand that when it comes to money, think about something that is in writing. When we do a written contract, it describes the clear understanding of what you are giving and what the party is receiving. So, regardless of what side you're on, if you need the money or if you're giving the money, you both need to have clear understanding of what is going to take place. So, that's why we need a written contract. That's why the banks and the credit unions and all of financial institutions will require us to have a written contract agreement because they understand, and we should understand, that as it relates to money, so that the relationship of the family member, the friend, or even a total stranger is, in order for that relationship to stay healthy, we have to have something in writing because it's going to affect your financial stability. I mean, come on, let's think about it. If you don't have anything written and it's all verbal, or let's say you just put it in a text message, and the other person who you're giving the money to doesn't understand that maybe you're only giving them a portion of the money, or let's say on the flip side, maybe you are the person who is receiving the money and you don't understand that the person may want their money back in a certain time period. If there is no written contract, then how can any information be clear for either person? For either party. So the reason why our relationships fail is because we really don't have an issue with the money. The issue is with the communication. It's in the communication. So the written contract agreement is going to give us the ability to be able to communicate clearly. We don't want to have any assumptions. We don't want to just say, okay, we're talking about it, because every single day, every time we communicate with someone, the other person that we're communicating with may have a whole different understanding than what we have, and vice versa. They may not understand your mindset and you may not understand their mindset. So we got to make sure that we're communicating clearly when we deal with lending money or receiving money from a family member or a friend. Don't ruin that relationship just because of money. All right? The next thing that we want to do is we want to specify what are the limits. How much money are you actually going to give them? And vice versa, are you expecting the money to be paid back in an increment or a lump sum? Okay, this is, like I said again, the communication problem of lending family members and friends money. So, what we have here is, like I said, just something that we don't understand. When we are lending money, we need to specify what are the restrictions. What is the outline behind when you give someone money or when you're expecting money back in return? What is the specification? Do you want all of the cash back at once? Are you giving them a time span of a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, a 90-day span, a 6 month span of time, a year span of time, or 2 or 3 years? What is the time span on when you want the money to be back in your pocket or back in your account? And then let's specify how you want the money to be paid back. Do you want the money to be paid back through like a Cash App, a Zelle, a Venmo? Do you want them to physically come and give you the cash money in your hand right now? Do you want them to put the money in your bank account? Do you want them to write you a check, hopefully that does not bounce? Like, what are the specifications around how you want to receive the money, in addition to a timeline of when you want to be paid back? So let's look at the strict limitations. What are the set restrictions around the money that is being borrowed versus the money that is being paid back from the person who you are lending the money to? This can really cause a lot of problems because, again, we don't really understand what are the requirements, what are the strict specifications, what is the limit, what is it that the person is in expectation of that lent the money and is going to pay the money back. So we got to figure out what is it that we can afford to actually give in order for us to think about a family member or a friend receiving money? If we are the ones that is providing the money to the family member or friend, what we first want to do is, outside of the writing contract, the written contract, outside of the specifications of how long you want the money to be outstanding, how long you want them to be able to pay you back, and what form of payment do you want to receive back in return, you will need to understand that if you don't have the ability to keep going on every day, when I say every day, if you cannot actually afford to give them this money and it's going to make or break a financial situation in your credit, in your utilities, like your rent or your light bill, your water bill, your cell phone bill, your streaming services, if it's going to be an issue where you can't buy food, where you cannot do the things that you normally would need to do, I'm talking about a need, not a want, the things that you would need to do in order for you to survive, then you do not need to lend the money. I don't care who the family member or friend is. It does not matter how long you've been knowing each other. It does not matter if it's a spouse or if it is a sibling, if it is a best friend that you've been best friends with forever and a day. I'm telling you right now, if you cannot afford to give this money away as a gift, then you do not need to lend the money. If you cannot pay the money back as a family member or friend under the strict specifications that the person who gave you the money in the first place is telling you that they require, then don't take the money. Don't take the money, okay? Listen, I'm telling you how to keep your relationships healthy because I've been in different scenarios and it has definitely been unclear communications around borrowing money and lending money. Okay, it has been I've been on both sides of the equation. And when it comes to the sides of the equation, you may have an issue with somebody who you lent money to, and they not even have a clue of what your issue is with them because you didn't prepare yourself to give this money to them as a gift in case they were not able to pay you back. So that is the specification around the fact that anytime that you are lending money, anytime that you want to borrow money, there are two things that need to take place. That is, can you afford to give it? And number two, can you afford to pay it back? So, regardless of what end of the spectrum you're on, you got to make sure that you are not just out here doing something just because money is not growing on trees for people to just be handing out and not have the ability to receive their funds back unless you know for sure you can afford it. So, if you cannot afford that money, if you cannot afford to pay the money back, if you're the kind of person that, your lifestyle of how you earn a living, your income is kind of funny. If you know that you are the kind of person that you're not going to see to it that you keep a job or that you keep working within your business, and you are just very unsure of how you're going to get the money in the first place to pay them back, then don't take the money. Don't take the money. Okay. And then, secondly, if you are the kind of person that, yeah, you work hard for your money, you do what you got to do to make sure that you make your ends meet, but you put yourself in a situation for somebody that you love and care about. Listen, if you love and really care about them, then you would not cause your own situation to go lacking, because in order for you to be able to do what you need to do to help them, your life should never be in jeopardy. Your finances should never be in jeopardy. Your income should never be in jeopardy. Your money for your bills, your credit should never go in jeopardy for another person because you got to take care of you first. Do you not understand that no matter how much we love other people, the word of God says that we would love other people as we love ourselves? So if you love yourself, then you would understand that you cannot afford, if you can't afford to do it, if you cannot lend it as a gift, and if you cannot pay it back as though it was top priority in your life to pay this person back, then don't touch the money. Do not make the exchange. Okay? Do not make the exchange because I'm trying to tell you that this will save the relationship. All right? So here's another point around lending money to family members and friends. Another point that you can consider is when you are lending money or you are receiving money, that you can exchange something for collateral. So when you are receiving money, consider offering the person who you are receiving the money from, that family member or friend, that's something that is very valuable to you, that you're going to offer that as collateral. That means that you're going to give this to this person temporarily to ensure that you are serious about giving them their money back. That's something that you know holds value, such as jewelry that they could go and pawn or exchange for cash, such as a vehicle, such as some type of equipment, electronics, such as something that holds value, something that is very dear to you, because I want you to understand that it should be an equal exchange. Don't just go and ask somebody that is a family member or friend for money and you're not willing to put any value up that equals the amount of money that you are wanting to receive. Do not ask somebody for money or do not lend someone money and you don't have anything to go off of the value of them being able to pay you back. So use collateral. What do you have in your house? What do you drive? What do you use every single day that is of value that the person who you are borrowing the money from or the person who you are giving the money to could exchange with you so that you do not get left holding the bag of an empty pocket? Okay? When I say that you need collateral, it has to be something, like I said, of equal value. If they are borrowing $500, then what do you have in your house? What do you have that the person could exchange worth $500? What do they have that they could give you in exchange for the amount of money that they are borrowing from you or that they are receiving from you? Don't ever go into lending to a family member or friend when you know for certain that there's nothing that they are weighing the money that they're receiving in. They're not weighing it. They're not having any value around that cash. So I say, even as it pertains to lenders and creditors, what you want to do is make sure you got your contract agreement in place. Make sure that there is a clear communication of the restrictions around how long it's going to take to pay it back. When is it going to be paid back? How is it going to be paid back? Through what type of system? Is it the bank? Is it a Cash App? Is it a Venmo? Are you going to send them directly to your bank and give them your bank account number? That's a definite no. Okay. And are you going to be able to afford this money to release to the person? And can the person afford to pay you back? Or are they already in a situation where, are you already in a situation where you cannot pay the person back? And then let's look at the collateral. What do you have in exchange that is of equal value? What do you have that is in exchange of equal value? So, in order for us to save and have healthy relationships, to save our relationships with our family members and friends, I want to present to you to exercise all of these situations, every principle that I have just provided to you, because I know many times people will hold a grudge. What is a grudge? It's simply the fact that we have not forgiven the people that we have lent money to, and we have not forgiven the people who we receive money from. And when that happens, ruined relationships equal a poor financial status. Did you know that? Did you know that when you have poor financial statuses, it equals bad relationships? It's the times where you have cut people off, where people have cut you off. It's the thing that is around money when all the problem really was is that there was not clear communication. I really want you to dive deep into, have you ever borrowed money from someone, and have you ever lent money to someone? And what was the underlying real issue about the problem? Did you communicate clearly? Did you set a timeline? Did you know before you even gave the money that this person was not in a position to pay you back? And can you find it in your heart to let go and forgive them and restore that relationship as though nothing even happened with money before? That's the kind of forgiveness that we are supposed to have with people, because sometimes we just go in things blindly when it relates to money and finances, which leads us into having bad credit, because it all starts with the money. The money that we earn, the money that maybe we aren't earning enough of, that we have decided that if we don't have enough money, we can just continue to hit up family members and friends instead of taking the responsibility of being accountable and going and figuring it out like everybody else is doing. And I'm not saying that everybody else is doing it right, but what I am saying is that let's be real with ourselves. If we have not put ourselves in a better position, then we need to stop borrowing money. We need to be accountable, because what is happening in the world today? People are not taking on the responsibility that they really need to take on, because they're finding shortcut solutions like borrowing money from family members or lending money to family members in order to make someone else's life easier, but at the same time, your life is miserable. We want to change that today. So I challenge you to really think about how many relationships have been ruined around finances. How many relationships have been ruined when you decided to allow somebody to put something in your name for credit? And they never paid it down, they never paid it off, they never paid it back, as well as the actual cash that the people are borrowing from you, or in exchange that you borrowed from somebody. I want you to go back and take inventory, because, see, this is where the change of your financial situation begins. It begins with you being truthful and honest with yourself. Did you borrow money that you did not pay back? Not even considering the lenders and grantors that you haven't paid back, because I'm in the credit industry and I see this every single day. So I'm not even considering them. I'm just simply talking about that family member and that friend that you borrowed money from that you didn't pay back. And now that relationship is estranged. Now that relationship is no more. They are no longer talking to you. You are no longer talking to them. And it is a problem simply because of the lack of communication, the lack of understanding, the lack of us even putting anything in writing, trying to come up with a true way to repay someone. Let's look at how can we get better at the issues that are at hand with our finances. It can only start when you go back and you look at the truth. What is the truth around you borrowing money? And what is the truth about you lending money? Were you trying to save somebody? Were you really trying to control their life? Were you trying to say that you would give them the money just so that they would follow through and do things the way that you wanted it done? See, that's also bad financial decisions. We do not lend money under an expectation that people have to follow what it is that we want. It's not our decision. Once it leaves your hands, then that's it. The people who you give the money to, or the person that you gave the family member, the friend that you gave the money to, it's in their hands. You do not control another human being when it relates to anything, but especially money. So I want you to really think about why your finances are the way that they are and how it relates to whether you lent money or you borrowed money to a family member or a friend. And then let's take it to the next level and go into how we manage those same principles with a creditor or a lender. That's all we have for today. I hope that this impacted your heart, like went down into your soul. I hope that this is something that will begin to shift and change you in your decision making as it relates to you lending out cash, lending out credit, or borrowing money or borrowing credit that you notice you can't pay back. I hope that you will understand that this is the beginning entryway to your financial situation changing and that you can make it. You can change, but you got to be honest with yourself and you got to be honest about your communications. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Listen, make sure that you are subscribed to the Kingdom Builders Credit Repair TV show and podcast. We are on YouTube. We're everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we are there. And also, I just want to make sure that you know that when you see us everywhere in these social media and streaming media sites, then you know that we are powered by the CTR Media Network. That's right. We are powered by a network that is seen by billions of people. So listen, go ahead, make sure that you're subscribed right now. Tell a friend because there's somebody that you know, if not you yourself, that needs all of these messages that we are speaking on the KBCR TV show. But until next Friday at 12:30 to 1, we will see you then. And I hope that you have a very blessed financial and credit